So this week in the market, guys, the S&P 500 was just rally. You can see on the 5-day, we ended up a positive almost 3%. And on Friday, the final day of the month and also the final day of the quarter, Q1, we ended the day, guys, up 1.44%. Absolute insanity. Now, unfortunately, guys, Mike will not be joining us today, so I'm just going to go over one quick news that I figured was the most important one that occurred this week, but just letting you know that there isn't going to be any technical analysis in this video, or at least this week. Next week, 100% sure, he's just a little bit busy. But the main article that I actually would like to point out, guys, is the fact that PCE came out today at 8:30, and key Fed inflation gauge rose 0.3% in February, less than expected. And inflation gauge the Fed follows closely rose slightly less than anticipated in February. The personal consumption expenditures price index, excluding food and energy, increased 0.3% for the month, the Commerce Department reported. The figure was below the 0.4 the Dow Jones anticipated and lower than the 0.5 than January increase. So you can see that it is somewhat heading in the correct direction. However, it's still very high. A 0.1 decrease, guys, is absolutely nothing. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, I personally believe that this is what caused this massive rally that we had on Friday. Everything gaining 1.44%. And in fact, let's jump into now the S&P 500 heat map to see how insane this absolutely was. And if we come to the S&P 500 heat map, we can see that this is essentially an emerald, because there's just almost nothing here is red. So let's dive into the technology sector and see which of these was the biggest gainer and the biggest loser. Starting, of course, with the biggest loser, it's actually very easy to find. It's actually Micron losing 1.34% on the week, and the biggest gainer, it's actually two different companies, guys, both gaining the exact same amount. We got PAYC, Paycom Software, gaining 11.95%, and also HPE, Hewlett Packard Enterprise Company, gaining the same 11.95%. We also got to give a shout out to Intel, which gained not 11.95 but 11.27%. Looking now into the communication services, the biggest loser here, guys, was none other than Match, losing 4.5%, and also Google lost 1.62%. But again, the biggest loser was Match. Now, the biggest gainer, from what it's looking like, it is the company Paramount Global, gaining 10.28%. Looking now into the consumer cyclicals, there isn't a single red here, guys. This is crazy. There isn't a single company here that was slightly in the red. Everything was slightly in the green or very deep in the green. So the worst one, I guess you could say, that was in the green was none other than the company DHI, D.R. Horton, only gaining 0.78%, while the biggest gainer would be the company CZR, Caesars Entertainment Inc., gaining 15.12%. Jumping now, guys, into the consumer defensives, we see the exact same thing that we just saw with the consumer cyclicals. Everything here, it is green. Nothing here went red. And the worst performer, believe it or not, was none other than Costco, gaining only 0.32%. Again, everything here is in the green, so this was the worst performer in the sector, even though it wasn't positive. And the biggest gainer, from what it's looking like, would be the company MKC, McCormick Company Incorporated, getting 14.19%. Jumping now into the financials, and by the looks of it, the banks have rebounded hard. Everything here is in the green, except for none other than Charles Schwab, losing 1.65%, and the biggest loser, which was Citizens Financial Group, losing 2.35%. Aside from that, guys, everything here just gained massively. And I like it how they changed this up a bit. This is interesting. No, they didn't have it like this last week. Very interesting. But the biggest gainer would be FRC, First Republic Bank, and it rebounded hard, 13.2%. But you can see that graph, guys. It's still significantly, it has a lot to go up for it to finally go up to what it was before. So, you know, 13.2, that's pretty good. But man, that's a massive spike that they need to get to what they were prior to this whole collapse. Jumping now into the healthcare sector, everything here was very green, except for a few companies. Well, actually, the only sector that was red was the healthcare plans, and the worst performer would be Humana, losing 3.38%. The other losers were UNH, United Health, losing 0.71%, Then we got Cigna Corporation losing 1.8 and CNC Centene Corporation losing 1.31. Aside from that, guys, everything here was massively in the green. And from what it's looking like, the best and I forgot over here, ISRG also lost 0.37%. And from what it's looking like, the biggest gainer in this whole entire sector is actually the company Align, gaining almost 9% at 8.95%, and also two other ones that gained roughly the same, not at the same level as Align, but we got over here Cardinal Health gaining 7.29 and GE Healthcare Technologies Inc. gaining 7.29 again. Looking now into the industrials, everything here is green except for two companies, Generac and Lockheed Martin, believe it or not. And the worst performer of those two would actually have to be Generac, losing almost 3%, and Lockheed Martin only lost 0.38%. So Generac lost a lot. Current share price is $108.01. Now, the biggest gainer from what it's looking like is going to be very difficult to find, and it is the company Stanley Black & Decker, which gained 8.53%. But you guys can see that everything here was like 5% or higher. There was no loser when it came to the industrial sector by far, pretty much this whole entire week. And this extends into the real estate because nothing here was in the red either. Everything was positive. And actually, the worst performer wasn't even that low in the positive either. It was like 2+%. That's absolutely crazy. From what it's looking like, the worst performer in this whole entire sector would be the company SBA Communications Corporation, only gaining 1.82%. Everything else is just massive jump, and the best performer would be the company Boston Properties Inc. gaining 9.5% on the week. Massive, absolutely massive. You got other ones like Kimco Realty Corporation, 8.44, that's still massive, and Realty Income 3.73% on the week as well. Then we also got like SPG 8.2. Guys, this is just a massively green sector overall. Looking now into the utilities, by far the worst performer, I guess you could say. I mean, everything here was green, but like nothing was like pure green like we have seen with these other types of sectors. Nonetheless, though, we can see that the worst performer was still up, almost 1% overall, which again, it's just absolute insanity. But you can see that the worst performer would be the company ED, Consolidated Edison Inc., only gaining 0.63%. And the best performer would be, from what it's looking like, let us just see, I'm going to try not to cut this part out, would be NRG, gaining 8.89%. And now into the energy sector, man, all is green. Everything here is green. Oh my god, the worst performer. Okay, this is the one that the worst performer only did less than 4%. A little bit less than 4%. That's it. Guys, that would be this is insanity. That would be the company Quarterra Energy Inc. only gaining 3.63%. That's the worst performer. That's the worst performer, only gaining 3.63. The best performer, from what it's looking like, would be the company SLB, gaining 10.16%. Even the oil and gas integrated, the two giant ones, ExxonMobil and Chevron, massive gains, 6% for ExxonMobil and 4.5% for Chevron. Massive gain once again in the energy sector. And lastly, looking at the basic materials, once again, everything here was green, and the worst performer would be, from what it's looking like, it's the company Newmont Corporation, only gaining 1%. Again, only gaining 1%. The best performer, from what it's looking like, it is the company LYB, gaining 8.5%. So all in all, as you guys could see, very green week. And I've changed my tune when it came to the market being in like a perma bear or anything like that. I mean, I was never a perma bear, but like I've changed my tune in regards to like, oh, I think we're gonna be in a bear market for longer. Honestly, like at this point, I think the market is just so high on itself right now. I mean, I don't know how true you guys take that Michael Burry tweet. I don't know if you guys saw it, but he pretty much just said that he regrets saying, I don't know if he said exactly regrets, but he said something along the lines of like, sorry for saying sell like in January or February or something like that. And then he continued to say, never has there been a generation of buy the effing dip. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I kind of fight back against that statement and say, no, I wouldn't say that never has there been a generation about buying the effing dip. I would argue never has there been a generation where the Fed just keeps printing money nonstop. I would argue that, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, this is going back up, and it's going back up hard with a vengeance. So we may get to the point where fundamentals once again are out of the picture and people just buy stocks because stocks only go up until they don't, and then we repeat the cycle. But that was a pretty quick bear market, honestly. Like, the only one that was faster was COVID one. That was like about a week or like 3 days or something like that. This one only lasted like about like what, 3 months, 4 months. That's about it. So if this thing continues to go up, I'm just gonna sell more cash secured puts at a higher point and let them expire worthless if this does continue to go up. If it doesn't, then, well, I will be buying a lot of stocks when they hit my target share prices. Obviously, after I use my discounted free cash flow to see if that is the price that I like to buy them at. So anyways, guys, that will pretty much do it for this video. Like if you like, comment, subscribe. It really does help with the algorithm on YouTube. You guys can follow us on the new tech sites. Link is in the description below. So with that said, peace out, and we'll see you all in the next video.